You've just found the Montana Outdoor Podcast. Here, you'll discover the people and places that make Montana like no other place in the world. If you love to fish, hunt, or just enjoy creating your own adventure in the outdoors, you have come to the right place. The Montana Outdoor Podcast is brought to you by Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer, home of Boss Snowplows and Accessories, and Diamond Sea Trailers and Accessories. Go to rmtte.com and see everything they have waiting for you online, or just come by 5680 Expressway in Missoula, and by Superior Hardwoods of Montana, delivering the highest quality lumber, paneling, flooring, and reclaimed wood products anywhere in North America. Let them guide you through the woods at their showroom in Missoula on Highway 93 South or at superior-hardwoods.com. Now, let's go discover Montana's great outdoors with your host, Downrigger Dale. Have a great show, buddy. Can't wait to hear it.
Thank you very much, Roger. And as Roger just said, I am Downrigger Dale with the Montana Outdoor Podcast. And hey, we've been talking a lot about hunting because, that all got underway. But we're going to take a little break from that because I want to let that go a little bit. And then I'm going to be doing a few more podcasts about hunting and kind of bring you up to date on how the season's going. I am planning on also trying to get the head of the game wardens for Montana on and kind of get a feel for what that's like. And also, I want to talk to him about something I got from my friends in Wyoming at the Wyoming Game and Fish. They're having a problem with people using AI. Apparently, people are looking up regulations down there in Wyoming, and they're using AI to get information about regulations. Well, if you don't know about AI, it is wrong a lot. And the people in the whole AI game are trying to fix that. In fact, they have a name for it now, that the AI does hallucinations, they call it. But what it does is its brain gets a little weird. And anyway, so the AI is telling hunters down there the wrong regulations. And so they're getting into some trouble. We're going to talk about that a little bit and also find out if that's happening in Montana as well. Imagine it is. I know I've used AI quite a bit, and it is wrong a lot. And you really got to watch that, especially if you're using it for regulations. I do not recommend you do that. Anyway, so we're going to get into that. But before we get into our guests, I want to talk, as I always do, about some of the regular listeners that we have. One group especially is very special to all of us here, and that is the active military that tune in regularly all around the world. A lot of you that are stationed at bases all around the world like to watch this podcast, and we are honored that you do that. So welcome, and thank you for your service and what you do for our country and other countries around the world. And also want to thank all of our veterans out there. Montana has a huge population of veterans, and so many of you tune in, and we're honored to have you as well. And thank you for your service to our country as well. Other thing, our promotional staff always wants me to mention that you please like, share, and subscribe. That's that YouTube lingo that I'm supposed to be using, but that stuff helps us out a lot. So when you do watch it, hit that subscribe button and like button. It does help. Now, let's get into what we're going to talk about today. We're gonna focus on some fishing, which, by the way, for those of you that maybe kind of quit fishing when hunting season starts, don't forget about fall and early winter fishing in Montana. It is probably some of the best fishing you're going to find in the state. Another reason I like it is because a lot of people are hunting. So you tend to have rivers and lakes all to yourself, which is really cool too. So I want to do that, but I want to talk in particular about couples fishing. And I've done this many times on the podcast. I always love doing it because couples always tend to have some cool stories about why they fish together, how they came to fish together. Sometimes we find it interesting of the couples who is actually the better fisher person. We'll find out. But I'm going to put up the screen right now two friends of mine, and of course, the captain who comes on our podcast now and then, and that is Ken Ault and Amy McComas. Ken and Amy, welcome to the Montana Outdoor Podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Hello.
When did you guys start fishing together? Was this something that was like a first date, or did you start fishing later or earlier in the relationship?
Yeah. No, I grew up in a small town in Reardon, outside of Spokane, Washington. So, yeah. And then I met him through friends of friends. So when we
Go
got
a little
together,
more in too, Amy, so we can see.
Oh.
I'm only seeing about half your face. Okay, there you go.
So when I met him, he had just finished building this house. And when I came over here, I knew I would be fishing and bringing back hopefully some of that old fishing that I had done as a kid. But when I was fishing as a kid, it was off a bank in a river. And so for walleye, which was completely different from anything I've done here. So kind of like starting over when I met him. So completely different. But I'm ready. Well, in the beginning, he did everything for me, from like helping me bait the hook to, whenever, really put that all on for me, everything. And now, it gradually went to, well, do that yourself. You're going to pretty much independent on most things now. I don't back the trailer down, that kind of stuff yet, but that I guess is on the program for next year. We'll see how that goes. But
I'm going to give you some advice there. I'd let him keep doing it because
I know I'm working slowly.
Once he realizes you're way once he realizes you're way better at it than him, it's going to just crush him. So
it was a little bit this summer that way.
Well, yeah.
Well, I just speaking of that, one quick story. The captain and I, we used to go fish at Holter a lot, and we would always park the fifth wheel right by the boat ramp, because our favorite thing to do in the morning when we're drinking coffee is watch people backing their boats in, because that is some of the most comical stuff you'll ever see. And we saw a lot of relationships end over backing.
I got to make sure he's truly committed before I do that.
Yeah, really get it nailed down, or but I don't know. Captain always says when I back the boat down quite a bit when he and I are fishing together, and he always has some pretty interesting instructions for me from time to time.
I'm sure you do.
I won't say some of the things he says.
Captain gives out an instruction.
They're pretty harsh. This is a family show, so I won't get into the whole thing. But so anyway, when you guys started, really deciding, okay, we're a couple, we're fishing and all that. Amy, so were you a pretty experienced fisher person? You said he was baiting your hook and all that, which is, guys try to be chivalrous and all that stuff. Or was Ken the better fisherman? Did he know a little more than you?
Oh, he knew it. Yeah. He knew everything compared to me. Oh, yeah. Mine was baiting. I mean, I could bait a hook to some degree and stuff, but that was years and years and years ago as a kid. So coming back and then and with small little boats, back in the day, it was nothing like this. So coming back and seeing, a big boat, lots of electronics, completely different than what I grew up on fishing. So I just like starting off.
And Fort Peck is a pretty unusual place in that it's a huge lake. And so that can be a little intimidating for anyone. It's almost like you're at the ocean a little bit. So what about you, Ken? I've known you a long time, but I guess we've never talked about how you got into fishing. Who inspired you to fish? Was it your dad, your grandpa? What got you into fishing?
Well, my grandfather was a big fisherman, and him and my grandmother both would go to Browns Lake, Tuesday through Thursday almost every week to fish the trout over there. And then when I really got into it for myself was with my dad, but we kind of grew up on Flathead, and there wasn't a lot of fish in there. And my parents sold their cabin, and I bought a fifth wheel and a
Mhm.
little crestliner boat, and started going to different lakes to camp and fish, and learn how to fish trout, and did a lot of at Holter. I used to run in the captain at Holter a
Oh,
lot,
yeah.
and go fishing the trout over there, and eventually fishing the walleye in Holter. And we would take um, a 2-week vacation to Fort Peck every summer, and I was with some friends. We'd fish Hell Creek, and that really got me into the walleye fishing. And when I started thinking about what I'm going to be doing later, I thought about just buying a place over here, um, and then since I've done that, or building the place, and since I've gotten over here, I really got hooked on the walleye fishing, and
Yeah,
still
that
learning how to do it. It's quite a deal. Like you said, it's a big lake, and it's humbled us a few times. So
yeah. That was gonna be my next question is, when did you get into walleye fishing? And that's usually a pretty common answer when people access, Fort Peck and even other lakes around there, the walleye fishing can really bite you good, where you just really go, "Wow, I love fishing that." I was the same way. I was more into trout and things like that, but get over to Fort Peck, which is now rated in the top 5 lakes in the world for walleye fishing. You realize that that is just an amazing fish, and uh, so much fun to get into. And one of the things about fishing for walleye is, no matter what kind of a fisherman you are or fisherwoman that you are, you always want to catch a big fish. But with walleye, it's that 30-inch plus thing that it seems like every walleye fisherman wants to finally break that, that 30-inch plus deal. I know that was with me. Took me, it seemed like forever to finally catch one. Uh, and when I did, it was a big deal. And that was a milestone that you just passed here recently. Ken was entering, as the captain puts it, the 30 plus club. Uh, so let's talk a bit about that. Now you were on Lake Francis, correct?
Nelson Reservoir.
Or Nelson, that's right, Nelson. Now, how long has this been that you've really been setting your goal I want to get that 30 plus walleye? Has it been a while?
Well, it's been a while. Like I said, when we started fishing Fort Peck and we were at Hell Creek, all my friends, we'd put 30 fish in my
Mhm.
boat, and it just wasn't me catching them.
Mm.
And so it was kind of building from there, and staying in touch a little bit with some of those people. They always ask, "Have you got a 30 yet?" Because they've got
Yeah.
a few hanging on the walls and stuff. And when we got here this year, um, the first day out, Amy got a 30, and
There you
I'm
go,
just sitting there
Amy.
going, "Oh my god," you know, you know,
Here we go
oh my
again.
gosh,
Yeah.
we were doing a very simple way to fish, and I saw her pitch it in there, and she pulls in the 30, and I'm like, I've been trying to get one of those for I don't know,
Yeah.
15 years now or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Well,
it was pretty exciting.
and when you have a fishing partner like that, whether you mean to or not, the competition does kind of start to grow. And
Oh, it happens.
there's no way to avoid it. So that always gets you a little bit. And
That's when I started making her bait her own hook.
Pretty much went downhill from there.
yeah,
I was on my own.
I'm not helping you one more bit. Yeah. I got you. So as I understand it, you were pretty much a bottom bouncing guy for walleye, but this 30 pluser, and I've got it up on the screen now. But that you caught jigging, correct?
Yes, we were pitching jigging wraps.
Hmm. Now, what made you change? What inspired you to do that instead of bottom bouncing?
Well, it's we kind of knew we were going to have to do that. Well, last year at the end of the season, we were watching people do these tournaments, and we'd go up and watch the weigh-ins and try to get information out of some of these guys, Matt Fisher and Ty Hager, and that's what they were doing, and they were the first ones to break the 100-pound mark in the tournament. And so when we went out, we signed up for it, and this last winter, and I said, man, when we get back to Fort Peck, we gotta start learning this end of the lake, because I only knew the west end. And so we were out there bottom bouncing, and at first it was pretty tough to catch fish, and we started catching fish, and then we weren't catching the size that even close to the size that we were. And so, and I put a forward facing garment on there, and last fall, but we just really didn't use it, because we knew how to catch them this way, but every time we kind of tried to do that, we weren't catching fish. We were having a hard time keeping a fish in the screen even. So we kind of kept putting it off, and then the tournament came. I said, well, we can't change now, so let's just keep doing this. And then later in the fall, one of our friends, Don Jameson, he was putting a little pressure on us to use it, and kind of, if you guys are going to be doing the tournament, you guys, you need to do this. And he jumped into the boat with us, and kind of helped us out figuring it out and things like that, which was really nice of him. And then one day he said, Ken, come up here. And he says, there's a fish right there. And I pitched out and to watch the action and watch on the screen, and have him take it in a pretty light rod was pretty exciting. And so we started doing it a little more and a little more, and then the fishing kind of died out it got slow, and we started heading over to Nelson, and the fishing was good. So we had something to work on it with. And so the last 3-4 weeks, especially, we've been just strictly using the live scope and pitch and jig and wraps at the Walleye over there. And it's kind of we really enjoy the bottom bouncing, and probably still will do it, but there's nothing like catching a nice walleye on a pitched rig. So
Yeah, it is something that, for me, the same way. I mean, I learned about walleye fishing from the captain, and he was pretty much always just bottom bouncing, and that's a fun way to fish, no doubt. And there are certain times of the season when that really is the go-to way to do it, and just certain bodies of water. I know, like Tiber, there seems to be more people that will bottom bounce there than really any place I've seen. That they use that a lot. So it has its place, but when somebody wants to get after the big ones, and they want to really dial it in, that you see it on every tournament, and a lot of that, of course, goes along with the technology that you use. So talk a bit about your technology that you and Amy are using now, and who knows how to run it better, because that's a big part. The learning curve is pretty wide, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Well, we're using the Garmin live scope.
Mm-hmm.
We both have one. She has one in the back, and I have one in the front. And there's such a big learning curve. You tell someone about what that is, and they're like, "You're cheating." That's like shooting fish in a barrel. And when we started doing it, just putting the boat in the right position,
Yeah.
keeping the fish in there so you have an actual chance to pitch at it, and then trying to hit the 5-foot mark to see the jig splash and go down and see if you're close to the fish. That took a long time. We spent 3 hours a day after we'd catch our fish bottom bounce, and trying it, and we spent months on that, just getting
Yeah.
it to where we can actually pitch at this fish and lining up everything you have to do. And so it took a while. And
Yeah.
and then when you see a fish, you can't just go after a fish. If you want to catch a big one, you got to go find a big one, and it's pretty hard to leave a fish sitting there and keep moving. But
Right.
it's hard to catch fish anywhere. So
And when you look at that, I think some people that have not used that technology before have that feeling of, oh, well, you get that, and then it's just super easy and no problem. It it's a whole different way of fishing, and there's an art to it and a technique to it, and it is not easy at all until you figure it out. No different than learning how to bottom bounce or fly fish or anything else. Now back to catching this fish. So you got into using the technology and all that. So you're out on Nelson, and tell us how this happens when you see your potential entry into the 30 plus club.
Well, I had marked, we'd done well in a specific spot there. We found a nice ledge with the live scope that was full of fish a couple of days before. And we'd fished a little bit earlier that morning, and I said, well, let's go check that spot out and see if there's any more fish in it. So we went over there, and this is a funny story because she was on the phone, and I pitched in there, and I got one, and I said, hey, the net, she said, oh, I gotta go. So she hangs the phone up. She nets the fish, we bring it in. It's a nice fish.
Good fish.
And there's still more in there. And I pitch again. She's dialing up, gets them on the phone, and boom! I said, "Get the net."
Hang up again.
And we look back at this, and she had hung up 4 times on the person because I pulled these 4 fish out of this hole in like 10 minutes. But the last one was I saw him. I pitched on him, and I targeted him, and I saw him go at it. It was kind of the perfect scenario, and he hit it, and I start reeling, and I'm like, man, I better tighten my drag and pull. I mean, I couldn't get him off the bottom. I'm like, oh. Amy, this might be the one, and we've had a lot of close calls, some 29s and some 28s, and we're getting it up there, and I'm working him, and we finally get him up there, and he takes off, and he was trying to get it with the net. I said, don't lose this one. And
I thought I would go in if
she got him in, and we got him in the boat. I'm like, oh my gosh! I go, all I could think of was be like another 29 3/4 or something like that. And so we pulled the tape out on the floor, we laid it down, and she goes, it's a 32. And I'm like, and I had to take another look, and I make sure I get it on the mark. I look back, and it was all I was looking is for the 30. And I'm like, it's a 32,
Oh wow.
And we did. I kind of frustrated, so we didn't like lay him out real good and swing his tail and get that extra quarter. I just saw that it was over 30, and started taking some pictures, and
maybe a little whooping and hollering, I suppose.
Oh,
yeah.
The captain was over in the other boat. They could hear us. So.
The captain and Jameson were over there like, what are you guys, what's going on? What guys doing? And I said, it's a 32. And, and the captain's like, what? Did he say 32? And it was exciting.
So Amy, as the fishing partner, there becomes some pretty heavy pressure when okay, he's got something. And I've done that, with the captain so many times where we know, oh gosh, this is a big one, whether we're going after the salmon or whatever, and that pressure starts to build up. I better get this right. So what was going through your head when this was going on?
Well, yeah, if I lost that thing, I knew I was going overboard because it was so big. And I was on my knees with the net, and I had to yell at him to help me because it was heavy and not fitting in the net. And it was a big fish. If you see that picture, that thing is fat. And I called it a lunker, but it was big, and I was scared I couldn't get that out of the water. So I said I need to lift some weights now because that's a big one. But it was really fun.
When he was going after it, looking at it on the screen, did you see it on the screen, or were you busy on the phone at that?
No, that was the bad part. I kept trying I was on the phone with my daughter for 4 times, and I finally just said, I hung up on her and threw the phone down at this time because I was like, I couldn't believe it. 3 in a row, and then this one, and I'm sure she thought I was lying to her. Like, I just wanted to get her off the phone or something because I kept hanging up and going up there. I'm like, how are you? This just not possible. And he just getting them. And then I was frustrated and mad that I was in the back of the boat and he's in the front getting them all. So
the other thing is now when he's bringing it in and now you've got the net, and this was always so hard for me when I'm fishing with the captain is how hard was it to not start giving him some instructions of, hey, watch, because when you're the net person, you tend to notice some of the things that the fisherman might be able to do a little better, and getting that rod tip up. And that, were there any instructions you accidentally just kind of barked out at him, or what?
No, other than just bring it to me, because he does that to me to help me get
Sure.
it in. But
It-
I'm not at the level to tell him what to do yet. So
Mhm.
Well, it had taken off, and then when it took off,
Yeah.
because those jigging wraps don't stay on very well, I
Yeah.
got pretty nervous, and I had to turn it around, or she'd be chasing its tail, and I had to pull. I said, "Well, it's time to pull him in," and she got him in the net, which was awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was scary. I was worried, but it was good. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then I was just happy because I knew it was that big. And that morning, he had said in the truck, he said, "Well, if I get my 30." And I said, "No, when you get your 30 today."
There you go.
And so, and it happened. So it was
last day of our fishing this season that we got it.
Really?
It was
So it's the last day.
last
Wow.
Yeah.
day, yeah.
Mhm.
We had bookends. I got mine the first day, only a 30, and it's skinny. But he had to outdo me and blow me out of the water with his big 32 plus on the last day.
Yeah.
Mhm. And now you would think, okay, that little piece of competition's over with, but it's not. Now
Oh, no.
it really gets going of who's going to break the next level and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
Between us, that is, but then you
Mhm.
got that big fish laying there, and you think about these guys in those tournaments that win them, and they're catching 6 to 8 of those in 2 days,
Yeah.
and so they're step. We're we're not there yet, but
Mhm.
you start thinking about that. And it's just amazing what they can do. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. Now that you've done this, are you gonna be a I do nothing but jigging kind of a guy? I know there's some people that I fish with that once they kind of mastered all that, that's all they're going to do is jig. What about you two? Is that now you're going to be your main thing, or will you ever decide that you need to do a little bottom bouncing now and then?
Well, we we enjoy doing the tournaments, and we're going to be getting into the tournaments,
There you
and
go.
we're we have a long way to go, but there's some great people around here that are,
really good.
helping us out a little bit and giving us some advice. But if we want to do that, we want to do it, and
Sure.
it is so fun, to watch it all come together, and to get that it's pretty addicting. I woke up at 1:30 in the morning thinking about next year already last
Mm.
night.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what we got to start doing, and this and things like that. So, we kind of got the bug, and it's and now that we've turned on that, we do enjoy the bottom mounts, and
And we'll do it
but
still.
we'll
Yeah.
in the spring we'll be focusing on this
Sure.
quite a bit.
Well,
So,
and then it sets up a whole new set of challenges and things for you of what can you do different. So, Amy, you've got your own setup in the back. Take us through, what are you looking for on that screen? Because we're in this transition for a lot of fishermen, just like what you two went through, where people are deciding, I think I'm going to invest in that technology and get it going. So give them a little flavor of kind of the stages you went through, and what do you look for that says, okay, this is the one I need to go after? What are you seeing on the screen that's telling you that?
Well, that's harder because if we're just, looking for fish, then I know I'm scrolling or going all over trying to find out if there's fish in my section, and then
Mhm.
he's looking in his area. And I might just say, "Well, hold up, I see one," or whenever I see some, and then he'll stop and we can, go after whatever side or wherever they're at. But I'm trying to find right now, trying to get better at looking at size of fish and figuring out which ones are going to be the bigger fish rather than looking at and deciding, oh, that's just a small perch on the bottom, or, something like that. So for me, it's trying to figure out, are they a bigger fish and what kind they are. So
Okay. And
that's what I'm looking for.
what about you, Ken? Have you got to that point where you can say, yeah, that's a walleye, and that? I know some guys just swear to it that they can tell what kind of fish they're looking at. What do you see that tells you what is what?
um, that's true. It was hard to figure that out, and I don't know if I figured that all the way out.
Yeah.
You'll see some nice fish come by, and the first thing you want to do is cast at them. Um, the ones that we've probably had the best luck at, those walleye will kind of, it's almost like they're hanging at an angle like this,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not necessarily swimming across the screen. And, when you're scoping and you see that line coming up, and you'll see it move a little bit, and the orange part will come out.
Oh,
But those those seem to be the walleye.
mm-hmm.
And you'll see a beautiful big dot down there swimming around, and you'll pitch at it and it's not taking it. But when you get into the walleye and they're feeding, they do some of the work. You pitch that and get it close to them, they'll take it. There are times you're dropping it right on their head and wiggling it around and they won't take it. But that's the thing. If you can get them to do some of the work, that's when it gets really fun. So
now, when you see a fish that's taking an interest in that jig and wrap or whatever you're using, how hard is it to stop yourself from wanting to pull it away too soon? Because that's a natural impulse. I remember when I was a little kid, my grandpa had set up this little plastic swimming pool, and they put a few little perch and stuff in there, and just trying to show me what to do. And every time they get close to my hook, I would pull it away just by natural. How hard is that to train yourself to just let it happen?
It is hard.
Well, I'm still training myself on that one. When you see them coming at it and you're wiggling, you're waiting for that feel in the rod, and you'll pull it and try to get it. Sometimes you're just jiggling it in front of them, they don't take it, and if you pull it away from them, they think they might be losing it. They tend to come after sometimes. But we're learning that stuff. We're not, there's guys that are a lot better at it than we are and know how to do that. But you just try everything you can. Sometimes you have to pitch at the same fish 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and sometimes you have to let him go because he's not taking it.
Yeah. What are some of the techniques that you use, and what advice could you give other couples and that out there that might be thinking about, investing in this technology? We'll do that right after this. Are you going to get out hunting or to your favorite ice fishing hole this year? Yeah, I know. Finding the time is always the hard part, isn't it? Well, Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer can help you get the things done that you have to do so you have time to do the things you want to do. How about clearing the driveway or work areas of snow? Yeah, that can be a time sucker for sure. Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer has just what you need. A huge selection of Boss snowplows and accessories that'll fit any truck or ATV even. Boss snowplows are flat amazing at removing snow fast. Or how about something that can serve you at both work and on your next adventure outdoors? Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer has awesome Diamond C utility trailers and accessories that can haul work equipment during the week, and then your ATV or snowmobile or other awesome outdoor toys on the weekend. Of course, Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer also has an amazing service department with top technicians and parts pros that are ready to fix or replace whatever you need, from installing a new fifth wheel or gooseneck hitch, or even rewiring the lights on your trailer so they work the way they're supposed to. What about getting some other time-saving accessories for your truck installed? That, my friends, is for sure one of their specialties. And get this, Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer can even help with financing. Yeah, they've got you covered. This is going to be a great fall and winter season, my friends, especially if you go see Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer. They're in Missoula at 5680 Expressway. You can call them at 406-549-4243 or check them out online at rmtte.com. That's Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer, rmtte.com. Get a hold of them today and then start planning that hunting trip. Back here on the Montana Outdoor Podcast, Ken Ault, Amy McComas, they are with me talking about big fish. Ken just joined the 30-plus club. And, not that that's like some incredible thing, though for a walleye fisherman, that's a big step. That's a big deal. For me, it was. I mean, it was like, wow, I finally did it. So I know how you feel, Ken. That's a wonderful time. If you're not a walleye fisherman and you listen to this podcast, you really need to try it. And I guarantee you, if you get into walleye fishing, you're going to get that bug in your head of, I got to get to that 30 plus thing. But talk, you use the Garmin, Ken. What made you choose that? Talk about, what you went through to make you choose the type of gear that you use now.
We got a lot of help when we first started, just asking what's the best. And we did get in and use a friend of ours on both kinds. The Hummingbird's got one, and then we just chose the Garmin. And we, I had upgraded a boat when I built over here because I had a small boat and it's a big lake there, a big lake. So, kind of for safety reasons, I got a bigger boat, and we filled it full of technology, and the curve on all the technology on there was quite a deal. So the Garmin thing, we chose it because basically that's what asking around, that's what they recommended, and we're happy with it. So and now they have a 16-inch screen coming out next year. We might take a peek at that to keep up with the technology and do that. So
yeah, and then there's the whole process of where you decide to put that, the screen in, all that, and then there's some real interesting things you have to think about as far as how you wire that in there. And that was that something you did yourself, or did you have a dealer or somebody that put it in for you and kind of figured out what's the best way to get that electronics working consistently and not blowing?
that's something we're going through right now. We did have a dealer set it up for us, and when you start using it, you learn how you want it for yourself. And just before we came on here, I was down at Andy and Sam Rose, and they were showing me their setup. And they have two Garmin's in the front, and because the person in the back, they kind of they don't have it as good as the person in the front because you're moving the boat, and they kind of have the leftovers and stuff like that. So I was just down, and they were really helpful, showing me how they set their stuff up, because they're contenders in the tournament, and their kids are contenders in the tournament. And so it was fun going down and seeing how they have stuff set up. But we are going to remodel the front end of the boat for next year, and probably try to get Amy's up at front as well, because it's better for both fishermen that way.
Sure.
Manage is always up front. So
yeah. With the captain, that's his domain, and I even so much as try to get up there, and it's like, hey, back there, you got a lot more space, Downrigger. You just handle that back.
Right. Well, now when I see going to these fishermen's garages, I see all this used stuff on the shelf. I know nothing got it, So.
Well, yeah,
Your Boats is actually coming out with a new boat that has enough space up there. It's built for two people in the front, just for this forward-facing stuff. So,
and I think that we're going to see that a lot, where this forward-facing stuff is going to kind of change the way manufacturers might be thinking about how to do that. If you don't mind saying, what would you be able to give for advice of how much a person needs to have to get a decent setup? About what does that cost?
For a Garmin?
Yeah.
I had bought mine and had it put in for a fee, but I think you can get them in, I think about $1,800. You can get the setup, and then you'd have to wire it and mount it.
Yeah. So it's a significant investment that people are.
And then you have to get the pole. That's another $800. Yeah. It's not a cheap investment, but,
yeah, and then that's not the only species of fish, that it's good for. I mean, I know there's a fishermen that use them on lake trout and even salmon and all kinds of stuff. So how much experience have you had in going after other species with it, or have you just mainly been working on walleye right now?
Well, we've been working on walleye, but I have a fun story about the other day. We were, we went to one of our spots, and, we pulled in, we were setting up, and we kind of drifted into about 17 feet, and I hit the anchor, and we set up, and Amy's like, there's fish all over the place here. And so I turned to where she was pointing, and there was literally big marks down there. And I was like, if these are walleye, this is
Weird.
the mother lode right here.
Yeah.
And I pitched out, and bam, when I pulled up a lake trout,
Ah.
and Amy came up and netted the trout, and hers was still in the water, and she had one on it. And
My rod was curved
man,
under,
if
and
you
it
want to see some action,
was
I mean,
crazy.
they were they were darting and diving, and you could see every bit of it going after your
hmm
when we
Yeah.
had the jigging.
The lake trout stuff is pretty amazing. Now, I've heard from some people that this does not work as well when you get in, trying to target fish that are way deep. Is that true, or will it work for real deep water too?
Well, we'd spotted some fish out there at 80
80
feet,
feet.
and this is when we told ourselves at the beginning of the season that we're going to fish the lake, and not just the lake. We're not going to do rivers. We're not going to do stuff, and so we went from first day basically to just a couple of weeks ago, and it was getting pretty hard to find fish, and we're like, where do they go? So let's pull some cranks, and we went out, and we got out pretty deep pulling some cranks, and we spotted some fish, a lot of fish down at like 80 feet. And I said, well, let's just stop and jig them and see what they are. They're probably lake trout.
Mm-hmm.
So we stopped, and I didn't have a counter reel. We weren't set up to do that. So, I was going to drop it off the edge and get down there and jig. And I said, well, shine the live scope on it and see where I am, because it tells you how deep you are.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so she would just sit there and watch me go down and down and down. She goes, right there, right there. And so we could see it. We could see it at 80 feet. So
Pretty far.
That's a long way. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I don't know if you want to go after anything much deeper, salmon, I suppose, might be down there a little further, but so all in all, then obviously your experience is you're very happy you decided to go for this major step into the technology world, huh?
Yeah, we are, and we're just starting it. There's
Mhm.
guys out there that have this nailed down, and when
Oh
you're sitting
yeah.
there and having say hamburger up at the marina, and you're talking to them, and you hear what they do in a day, it's like, wow. So, we're just starting this, and
Mhm.
but it's an awful lot of fun. And
Yeah.
when you connect, if it's a big one or a small one, when you're doing it, it's a blast. So.
Do you find that fishing this way, Amy, gives you a better sense of what is working and what's not? I mean, have you noticed that you're changing out a little more often and that than you used to?
I think I can tell more if they're not taking it, or either I know it's not a walleye, or yes, like I'll say, what color are you using? Maybe I need to switch, or we try to be on different colors, unless he starts catching them. Then also, I definitely think that it helps you see what's down there, what's working, and I can see my cadence. If I can see my jig going up and down, whether I'm actually hitting bottom, it definitely helps me for sure.
And other types of baits, swim baits and things like that, to see and to
Action.
actually fish it the way it was intended to fish. When you're fan casting, you're reeling it in, you don't see, you don't see it swimming if it's a
Right.
swim bait. You don't see how it's going.
Mhm.
And, I was watching Brian Olson the other day. I was out fishing with him, and just looking at his cadences, and we were pitching different things and how he was pulling some of that stuff in. And I started looking at that, and then seeing it, actually underwater. You need to fish it how it's intended to fish, or you're probably not going to have success. And
Mm-hmm.
that's something we've learned here in the last little bit as well. So, and you can see how the fish reacts to it, and you start thinking a lot of things that I wasn't thinking. There's some of these top fishermen are probably thinking that a long time ago, but we're learning as we go, and you pick that stuff up pretty quick when you're
Mm-hmm.
when you're
Well, we're going to take
watching.
one last break here. And when we come back, I want you to maybe give us a little clue as far as on Nelson Reservoir. If people want to go out, maybe give them a few ideas of areas they might want to kind of concentrate on, and also just give some folks some ideas of where they put in at and that for people that are listening that have never gone to Nelson or maybe never fished this time of year there. So let's do that right after this. I want to take a minute to thank Superior Hardwoods of Montana for their support of this podcast. It is what allows us to bring you the latest from Montana's great outdoors, with very few interruptions, by the way. That said, there is another reason we are lucky to have Superior Hardwoods of Montana on board. They are an amazing business that can offer all of you some of the most incredible wood products you have ever seen. Plus, Superior Hardwoods of Montana is still a place that actually cares about and appreciates their customers, the same way we appreciate you, our viewers and listeners. They offer you something original and totally unique, like their 11 acres of wood wall paneling, flooring, trim, beams, slabs, well, you name it. Every single piece has a story behind it. Wood from old barns, historic homesteads, even historic factories. And that amazing wood can be part of your story too. Right there in your home can be a piece of American history, brought back to life, custom milled and refinished to your specifications. So it not only tells its original story, but also speaks to who you are and how special your home is. Superior Hardwoods also has exotic woods, live edge slabs, pre-finished and unfinished flooring too, all in stock and ready to go. Need help picking out the right material? Just ask. Their team has been doing this since 1977. They know how to guide you through the woods. Swing into their beautiful showroom at 5120 Highway 93 South in Missoula, or you can just check them out online at superior-hardwoods.com. That's Superior Hardwoods of Montana, local, knowledgeable, family-run, and ready to help you build something that lasts. Let them guide you through the woods at superior-hardwoods.com. Superior Hardwoods of Montana. Go see them. Back here on the Montana Outdoor Podcast, wrapping it up with Ken Ault, Amy McComas. We are enjoying all these great stories from Ken and Amy about how they've entered the world of fishing technology and learning all about it and that. But Nelson lately seems to be the hot spot. That's where you just entered the 30 plus club, was on that reservoir. I have been seeing a lot of really great walleye coming out of Nelson here in the last, well, I'd say 4 weeks. It's just, I've been getting lots of emails and stuff from people. Do you think Nelson is becoming even a better walleye lake? Or do you feel that it's because you've learned this technology better that you now are seeing a side of Nelson that's always been there? It's just you're now knowing how to find it.
We had some success there. You know, we fished with Captain and Jameson a few times last fall, and we weren't here as much as we were this summer. And so later in the season, it's one of Captain's favorite places to go.
Yeah.
And so we had some success there, but we were fan casting and, we didn't know what was out there. We did have the live scope out there one day, and Jameson was helping us. That was when I first got it, and we're setting it up. And I think as far as finding them on Nelson and where the hot spots are, I always tell them, this walleye fishing is like elk hunting.
Yeah.
Those fish are where they're at. And, Nelson's 35, 40 feet deep. And, they could literally be anywhere in that lake. And, first just go find them. And then, if you find them, you can catch them, and that's what we've learned through the whole season, even on board pack. One day, one place will be hot, and then they're not there. And, that's walleye fishing. We've chased many people's good days the next day out to that spot to fish, and, don't spot any. So I would just suggest go out there and take a little time with your side imaging and drive around and, find some fish and then get after it. Yeah. And it's not a big lake. The water levels are down. The furthest north access is the best place to put in.
Okay.
Water, and it still has a dock that you can use and get in the boat and stuff like that. So I would recommend doing that.
Okay. So put in on the north end. Is there any special things you should watch out for on that lake that maybe people should know about? Because I know certain lakes have some of these kind of hidden shallow areas that you can get yourself into a little trouble.
Yeah,
Give us some
yeah.
ideas on that for Nelson.
Use your instruments, coming out, especially coming out of the boat launch there. Basically it's a creek underwater, and you're almost staying in that for, 500 yards, and, be careful, but use your instruments, stay in the deep spot there. Even on Fort Peck's got points sticking up everywhere. And I'd say get used to using your instruments when you're driving your boat down the lake. Cause that, like you said, there's very shallow spots when you're least expecting. So.
Now, I've heard that the weed beds in some of the areas in Nelson tend to be real ideal spots for walleye. Is that the case this time of year, or is it like you say they're kind of wherever you find them?
Well, they'll be in the weeds or some type of structure we found, and it could be just a bush weed, or it could be a break in the weeds, something like that, where you try to find them there, but. They're laying on the bottom. Sometimes that live scope, you see them, you're looking and you're moving it real slow so you can find them. And you'll see them just poke up and lay back down. That's a hard thing to, that's a hard to find a fish like that. And so they'll be in feed, and then they go out and rest. They're laying on the bottom, and it is hard to find them. So, but they're out there. So.
And have you noticed, as far as this time of year, is there a depth that they tend to be at more out on Nelson?
Yeah, we were kind of told shallow was where they move in when it got cold. But we're catching them in the 35, 40 feet.
Oh,
So pretty deep.
yeah. No, I would have figured much shallower than that. I'll be dang.
Yeah. So, but that's where we've been finding them.
Any color that's working better for you guys on Nelson?
Now you're getting personal.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to ask. You don't have to answer.
What I would recommend is have a couple of them, because it's never the same day.
Yeah.
And I was telling Jameson, he said that silver and black one was so hot last year, and I didn't have one, and he was just hammering them. And I went and I ordered 10 of them, and they're still hanging on my garage wall right now, because they're not working. So bring a couple, be able to switch back and forth, and you'll find one, that'll work. And we had to do that even, yesterday. We flipped back and forth to 2 or 3 different guys.
Well, that was a very good diplomatic answer.
I've got some guys that would probably kill me if I said that.
At least it's better than the typical smartass answer I'll get, which is, "Oh, well, where the fish are at are on the end of my line," which that's not helpful at all.
Black and gold's working pretty good. Let's see. We got a purple and white that's working. So,
all right. Well, guys, I really appreciate it. So now you say this is the end of your season. So where do you head? Do you guys do the snowbird thing and head south, or what do you do? Where do you go and what do you do?
Yeah, we go to Arizona here in another week or two.
Well, she has a wedding to go to, and I have a pheasant hunt to do, and then we're probably getting ready to head to Arizona.
No, okay. Well, we'll think about you while we're freezing our asses off up there. Do you guys?
We're going out way too early. We'd said Thanksgiving, but she's getting anxious to go down. So
do you fish down in Arizona, or do you take the time off fishing and hit the links?
We golf a lot down there. We get stuck in our community. I think we need to get out and look around to see what's out there. There is some fishing down there. So.
All right. Well, think of us up here as we sit by the fire and shake a little as we're sitting there. No, I really appreciate having you two on and just giving us some great points and ideas and things like that. And like I say, I love to have couples on, because I don't see enough couples out there, and it really is a good way to spend time together as a couple, isn't it? Don't you think?
It's fun. We have a good time together. I think for the most part, it's always a good time. There's some times where he might like go, "Oh my gosh, did you not listen to me?" But for the most part, it's all good. It's
Yeah.
fun.
If they had a recorder out there, they'd probably
Hear that phrase a lot.
no,
But
it is a lot of fun. We have a-
99% of the time we're laughing.
it teaches you a lot about each other, doesn't it?
It does.
And you learn how,
I'm sure it does.
and you learn how to get along in close quarters, which can be helpful.
Yeah.
So
For 8 hours, yes. 9 hours.
yeah.
Longer and longer as we get going.
Yeah, well, see, there you go. So it's probably going to last for you guys then. See, you can master that.
Teamwork, you know. She makes the lunch and I get the boat ready, and
We got a
it
system.
works,
We've
it
got a
works out
system.
good. Yeah.
What's really going to test it, Amy, is when you start backing that boat down. That's what's
I'm
going to
putting that
test
off as
that
long as I
relationship.
can.
That's
I'm
we're gonna start all
pushing
that
down
next
the
year.
road.
Yeah, that's when we'll really see how good this
Yeah,
relationship is.
That might be a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
Another show.
I may have to have a counselor with me when we do that podcast.
Mediation on that one.
How does that make you feel, Ken?
Video. Oh, man. Either that or it's gonna be like the follies on Instagram or something
Yeah.
about the boat ramps, I'm sure. But
Yeah,
well.
my favorite one when Captain and I were sitting there over at Holter, and this couple, they really got into it. And this guy, he just got frustrated with his poor wife trying to back down there, and he was saying all kinds of stuff. So he said, well, then you get in the boat and I'm going to back it in. So she gets in the boat and he backs it in, and she backs the boat off that trailer and turned around and just kept going right out in the water.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and showing him he was number one the whole time as she's pulling away. And then he realized maybe I had said a little too much about that. And it was just funny to watch the poor guy standing there because he's like, oh, crap.
Yeah, I have no boat to load.
Single I'm out fishing today.
And he just kind of wandered back to his fifth wheel and was like,
It's awesome.
so there you go. All right,
right,
guys. Well, safe travels down to Arizona. Thanks for spending some time with us here on the podcast, and we'll look forward to having you guys on again one of these days.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. That's how it works, and it's good to have couples get together and do that. Couples that fish together stay together, I say. So if you have any questions and want to know more about Nelson, I've got a link in the podcast description there, and you can learn more about Nelson Reservoir there. I've also got my email. If you have questions that you want to get to Ken or Amy, just email me, and then I'll get them to answer in that, so that you guys can learn some more about it. Maybe you have some questions. Maybe you're thinking about getting into that technology. So that, and I always have good listings for you couples for counselors as well, if you ever need. Anyway, thanks so much for tuning in to the podcast. We got lots more and some great hunting info coming up and all that as we go along. Until then, be safe out there, be good to each other, and we'll see you next time on the Montana Outdoor Podcast.
Thanks for watching the Montana Outdoor Podcast. You know, there's no way we could do this podcast without the incredible support of sponsors like Superior Hardwoods of Montana, home of the largest selection of in-stock, high-end wood products and flooring in the western United States. Let them guide you through the woods at superior-hardwoods.com. And of course, Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer in Missoula, home of Boss snowplows and accessories, and Diamond Sea Trailers and Accessories. Go see them on the web at rmtte.com. We'd love to hear what you thought of this week's podcast. When you get a minute or two, shoot us an email and tell us your thoughts. Same goes if you have any questions for Rigger or this week's guest. Just send your questions or comments to downrigger@montanooutdoor.com. Hey, don't forget we should be dropping a new podcast this next Saturday. Until then, gang, we hope to see you soon out in Montana's great outdoors.